Before we move on, let's review some terminology used in Visual Investigator. Every data object is called an entity. Examples of entities in this solution include customer, account, transaction, and investigation. Data objects created in Visual Investigator are called internal entities. These entities are managed within the solution, including editing and deleting. An example of an internal entity is an investigation. Entities created and managed outside of the solution are called external entities. External entities originate outside of SAS Visual Investigator, but are indexed to enable searching and used within the solution's interface. An example of an external entity is a bank account. Relationships connect entities. You can see the relationships between entities on a network diagram. An alert is an event or transaction pattern that is unusual and potentially suspicious. An investigation is a collection of alerts, entities, or both that are analyzed together. The terms investigation and case can be used interchangeably. For demonstrations, you will watch as I perform various tasks in the SAS Visual Investigator user interface. I will be working for a fictitious financial institution, Orion Star Bank. Please make note that the solution used in this course is configured for training purposes only and does not necessarily reflect the customized configuration of your organization. The bank data consists of customers with domestic or international bank accounts that have transactions like cash credits and wires. Throughout the course, I will sign in to the Demo VIA tenant to perform demonstrations as an end user. A tenant is an instance of SAS Visual Investigator. I will sign in as an investigator, INV1, and as a manager, MGR1. Users perform essential functions of their designated banking role based on the process configuration set up in our system for Orion Star Bank. As an investigator, I review alerts that have been created based on unusual banking transactions and create an investigation for suspicious activity. As a manager, I review investigations and use management reports to view business metrics. In this demonstration, I show you how to navigate the SAS Visual Investigator user interface and access the solution's documentation. To open Visual Investigator, I double-click the browser shortcut on the desktop and select the bookmark for Demo VIA. I sign in as the manager user using MGR1 as the user ID and Student1 as the password. Then I click Sign In. Notice that the home page is displayed by default. The home page can be configured differently for each user. Let's review the home page as seen by the MGR1 manager. The Alert Summary object displays information about the strategies and queues that are used to organize and assign alerts. We can see the count of active alerts and the median age. Clicking the Information Eye icon displays a pop-up window with more details about the alerts. The available details for the alerts are exact counts of high, medium, and low alerts, median score, median age of the oldest alert, number of suppressed alerts, and number of alerts that changed today. These numbers will update as I work with alerts throughout the course. Next, the Personal Metrics object displays my implementation measurements for the selected time frame and strategy. To display the user disposition report, I click the Personal Metrics report icon. As we can see, there is no data available at this time because I have not dispositioned any alerts yet. I close the user disposition report and am returned to the home page. On the right side of the page, in the New Document area, I see all the new objects that I can create. As the MGR1 user, I can create a Demo Investigation object. Remember that the Demo Investigation object is an example of an internal entity. This is one of the locations we could go to create an object to be used within the solution. We'll create a new investigation in a different way later in the course. Next is the search bar. Here, I can create searches directly from my homepage without having to navigate to the Search tab to initiate the search. You'll learn more about searching later in this course. Last, under Recently Viewed, is a list of objects that I viewed during this current session. Because I haven't viewed any objects yet, there's nothing listed. Let's review the remaining tabs on the menu bar. I click the Alerts tab to view the Alerts page. This page contains information about the active alerts in a selected strategy. I click the Tasks tab to view the Tasks page. This page contains tasks that are available or assigned to me or to a group that I am a member of. As a manager, I could be a member of both the Managers group and the Investigators group concurrently. I click the Management tab to view the Management page. This tab is displayed for me because I have been given the appropriate privileges. We see that I can view reports about alert assignments and dispositions, status and statistics of workflow tasks, and audits. And lastly, I click the Search tab. This page has a search box that enables me to perform basic and advanced searches. This search box allows the same searches as the search box located on the home page. To return to the home page at any time, I click the Home tab. Now let's take a minute to review the Applications bar and access the documentation. Notice that the application name appears on the middle of the Applications bar, followed by the name of the current interface. We can see SAS Visual Investigator - Investigate and Search Data, which indicates that this is the SAS Visual Investigator solution and that I am signed in to the user interface. On the right side of the Applications bar, I click the profile icon to see a drop-down menu. This menu enables me to access Help, change display theme settings, view product information, and sign out. I select Help to open the SAS Help Center, which appears in a new browser tab. The SAS Help Center window isn't showing documentation links for SAS Visual Investigator, so I need to complete additional steps to reach the documentation. Under Quick Links, I click Documentation by Product Name. Then on the new browser tab, I navigate to SAS Visual Investigator and click Documentation. Next, I click SAS Visual Investigator Help Center. In the Access Key window, the access key has already been entered for me, so I click OK. Now I see the Help Center's SAS Visual Investigator documentation. On the left side of the toolbar, we see the documentation version SAS Visual Investigator 10.8. However, this course covers 10.7, so I use the drop-down arrow to change the version to 10.7. I am ready to create a search. On the right side of the toolbar, I click the magnifying glass to open a search box. I type New and press the Enter key. From the search results, I click Enhancements and New Features. In the new results, we can see there are 9 topic groups pertaining to enhancement and new features for SAS Visual Investigator 10.7. I could click a topic heading to view detailed information about each subject, or I could go back to the search box and refine my search terms for different results. I'm done with my search, so I close both Help Center tabs. I can now sign out of the Manager user. I click the user profile icon and select Sign Out. The Solution Administrator creates rules or scenarios. Scenarios contain the logic to help organizations detect and report unusual activity. These scenarios are run as part of a flow. A flow is a top-level container that consists of scenarios, the data sources to be evaluated by the scenarios for the behavior of interest, and optionally, scorecards, which enable you to perform final processing using the events that are generated by the scenarios in the flow. The alert generation process, or AGP, executes the flows in the system. Remember that a flow can consist of multiple scenarios. When the AGP runs, the system processes all logic contained in the scenarios. When a behavior of interest is detected in the data, the system generates a scenario-fired event. A scenario-fired event contains the relevant information that's associated with the corresponding data, such as the entity type, entity ID, and an assigned score. Then the system includes all the scenario-fired events by entity into an alerting event. Alerting events are then routed to the Visual Investigator Alert Service. The Alert Service creates one alert per entity. Let's review. The AGP runs flows which contain the logic that detects suspicious activity. If unusual activity is found, then the SAS Anti-Money Laundering generates a scenario-fired event. Scenario-fired events are grouped by entity into an alerting event. Alerting events are sent to the Alert Service, where one alert is created per entity. The Alert Service determines how alerts are presented to users by organizing the alerts into domains, strategies, and queues. If you need to generate alerts for different business units, you can create separate domains. For example, you could have a domain for alerts that are investigated by the Anti-Money Laundering Department and another domain for alerts that are investigated by the Fraud Department. This prevents users who investigate the same entities from accessing alerts that are not related to their work. It is important to note that only one alert per entity per domain can be generated. A strategy is used to organize related alerts and to assign alerts to specific groups of users. For example, we could have one strategy that investigators and managers can access, and another strategy that only managers can access. In this case, we could send high-risk alerts, employee alerts, or time-sensitive alerts to the manager's strategy, which the investigator cannot access. Queues are used to group alerts by type of activity. For example, in the manager strategy, you could create separate queues for high-risk alerts and employee alerts. Alerts are routed to queues based on settings applied in the scenario or by using the routing rules defined for the queue. In the interface, you view alerts on the Alerts page. The Alerts page toolbar has options to control the alerts displayed in the alerts list. This includes a strategy list and an assignment filter. Let's first look at strategy list. The strategy list enables you to select the strategy with the alerts that you want to see. Remember, strategies are a way to organize and assign alerts. It's important to note that only strategies that you have access to are listed. The assignment filter enables you to further filter the selection of the alerts that you want to see. You can select all active alerts, my alerts, or unassigned alerts. All active alerts displays the active alerts that you can review and work at any given time, rather than the list of all active alerts in the strategy. My alerts displays the alerts that are assigned to or claimed by you. Unassigned alerts displays all the alerts that are not claimed by or assigned to another user. It is important to note that alerts that are checked out or locked by other users do not appear in these filtered lists. A checked out or locked alert is an alert that is opened in edit mode. The filter option that you select is saved between sessions. The Alerts page toolbar has options to control the alerts displayed in the alerts list. This includes the assignment menu and the dispositions menu. The Alerts assignment menu gives you the option to claim an alert, release an alert, or assign an alert to another user. It is important to note that you must have the claim alert, release alert, and assign alert capabilities respectively to perform these actions. You can select multiple alerts for bulk assignment. When you claim an alert, the assignment user ID column is updated with your user ID. It is important to note that claiming an alert does not lock the alert or prevent other users from working on it. Claiming an alert indicates to other users only that you are currently investigating that alert. Release alert removes your name from the assignment user ID column and indicates to other users that no one is currently investigating the alert. You can release any alert, even alerts that were claimed or assigned to other users. Lastly, Assign Alert enables you to assign an alert to another user, indicating that this other user is investigating the alert. Assigning an alert updates the assignment user ID column with the other user's user ID. The Dispositions menu displays the available dispositions set up by the solution administrator. Dispositions control what happens when a decision is made on alert. The available dispositions are Close, Suppress, Move, Link, and Send. Close completes the alert and changes the alert's status from active to closed. The alert can be closed immediately or in a specified number of days. Suppress hides the alert from view in the user interface. Solution administrators define how suppression is handled. The alert is suppressed and remains that way unless a score increase causes it to be reactivated. The alert is suppressed for a specified amount of time. Depending on how the disposition is defined, you might be prompted to enter the suppression duration. And the alert is suppressed for a specified amount of time unless a score increase causes it to be reactivated sooner. Depending on how the disposition is defined, you might be prompted to enter the suppression duration. The system performs a check every 5 minutes to see whether there are suppressed alerts that should be reactivated. Move enables you to move the alert to another queue. Depending on how the disposition is defined, you might be prompted to select a queue. Link creates a link between an alerted entity and another object. In this course, the Link Disposition button is labeled Add to Investigation. We use this disposition to create a link between the current alerted entity and a new investigation object. You can send the alert record to an external system. For example, if a bank has a case management system already in place when it adopts SAS Visual Investigator, and the bank wants to keep using its case management system, it will work alerts in Visual Investigator, but then send them to its case management system to work the cases. This demonstration illustrates how to use the Alerts page to assign and triage alerts. As you see, I'm already signed in as the Investigator user. I used INV1 as the user ID and Student1 as the password. First, on the menu bar, I click the Alerts tab to view the Alerts page. Note that the layout and contents of the Alerts page, including toolbar labels, are determined by your administrator. In general, the page contains an alerts list and a summary pane as seen here. Let's review the toolbar available for the INV1 user. The first drop-down menu is the strategy list. When I click the menu arrow, we see that I have access to domestic alert strategy only. The second drop-down menu is the assignment filter. Using this filter, I can narrow the selection of alerts that I see displayed in the alerts list below. Currently, the selection is all active alerts. This filter selection affects only me, the current user, and when changed, will persist between sessions. Next, we have the assignment menu, which is used to claim, release, or assign alerts. The dispositions menu is used to perform an action against the selected alert. We will disposition alerts later in the course. We have the refresh button, which refreshes the alerts list. And the last available toolbar item is the More Options menu. This menu enables me to actively choose the view of how an alert record selected in the alerts list is opened. Selecting View opens the alert without checking out, locking the alert. Selecting Edit opens the alert details page and checks out, locks the alert so that other users cannot work with the alert while I have it checked out. Now let's take a closer look at the alerts list. I can personalize my view of the alerts list. My changes persist between sessions. First, I want to alphabetically sort the actionable entity label column, so I click one time on the column heading. An up arrow icon appears, indicating the column is currently sorted in ascending order. If I continue to click the column heading, the sorting would rotate among ascending, descending, and clear the sort. As a side note, an actionable entity is an entity, in this case the customer, for which I want to gather suspicious activity and review through an alert. Next, to reorder the columns in the alerts list to my preferred layout, I click, drag, and release the column into the new position. So for the actionable entity label column, I click the column heading and drag my cursor left to the right of the score column where I want the actionable entity label column to be located. When I see the arrows appear indicating where the column will move to, I release the mouse button. While adjusting the alerts list to my preference, I can also choose to hide information that isn't useful to me. To do this, I use the column options menu, which is represented by the 3 vertical dots in each column heading. To hide the actionable entity ID column, I click the columns options menu on any column heading and select Columns, and then Actionable Entity ID. Notice in the submenu that the checkmark next to Actionable Entity ID disappeared, as well as the Actionable Entity ID column in the alerts list. If I wanted to bring the column back to the alerts list, I would follow the same steps and the column would reappear. Again, these filter settings persist between sessions. Now that the layout of my alerts list is set up, let's review the alert for Greg Hackett. Earlier, I sorted the actionable entity label column alphabetically, so I scroll down the column to find and select the alert for Greg Hackett. We can view information about the selected alert in the summary pane below the alerts list. To claim the selected Greg Hackett alert, with the alert still selected, I click the assignment menu and select Claim Alert. To show the alert is assigned to me, I click the assignment filter and select My Alerts. We see that my profile user ID, INV1, appears in the assignment user ID column. After reviewing the information about the Greg Hackett alert, I conclude that there was no suspicious activity, so I will close the alert. With Greg Hackett's alert still selected, I click the Dispositions menu and select Close immediately. On the Activity tab of the new window, we see that to close the alert, we are required to assign a productivity rating to all associated transactions. You learn about productivity ratings in the next lesson, so for now, I mark all as unproductive. On the Additional Information tab, for disposition reason, I select No Suspicious Activity Found. I click OK to complete my selections and close the window. Notice that when the page refreshes, the closed alert disappears from the alerts list. Let's say a couple of days later, I realize that the Close Immediately disposition was applied to the Greg Hackett alert in error. I can find the Greg Hackett alert, which is closed, and reactivate it. On the menu bar, I click Search. In the search box, I type Greg Hackett and press Enter. In the Filters pane, I select the Alert checkbox to narrow my results. I double-click the closed alert for Greg Hackett to view it. Notice that the Assignment and Dispositions menu are not available when the alert status is closed. On the toolbar, I click the Reactivate button, and in the confirmation message, I click Reactivate. When reactivating the alert, SAS Visual Investigator changes the alert's status from closed to active and checks out the alert to me. Because I had closed out the alert in error, I currently don't have any work to perform in the alert. I can close the alert to check it back in so that others are able to check it out. Had I needed to reinvestigate activity that belongs to an alert version other than the one that when the alert was closed, I would have used the manual alert feature that you'll learn about later in this course. We can see an asterisk on the menu bar next to the Greg Hackett alert label. An asterisk indicates that the alert has been edited and needs to be saved to keep the changes. On the alert toolbar, I click Save. We see that the asterisk disappeared. I can now close the alert object page. Next, I will show you how to find an alert for Patty Casey using a filter. Earlier, I showed you how to filter the layout of the columns in the alerts list. This time, I'm filtering within a column. On the menu bar, I click the Alerts tab. I click the Assignment filter and select All Active Alerts. To filter within a column, you must click the column options icon of the specific column to which you want to apply the filter. So in the heading of the Actionable Entity label column, I click the columns options icon. I select Filter and define my search. I change the operator to Contains. In the second field, I enter Casey. The filters are not case sensitive, so I don't have to capitalize the name Casey. Now I click Filter to view the results in the filtered alerts list. Notice that the filter icon is displayed in the column next to the column options icon, indicating that there is a filter in place on that column. Remember that selections for column options persist between sessions, but I want to clear my filter, so I click the same column options icon in the Actionable Entity label column. I select Filter and then click Clear. The filter has been cleared and the filter icon disappears. see additional information about an alert beyond the summary, you can double-click the record on the Alerts page to open the Alert Details page. This page consists of multiple tabs that give you additional information about the selected alert, including the Alert Details tab, the Alert Activity tab, the Scoring History tab, the Alert History tab, and the Workspace tab. Remember, anytime that an alert is opened, it is checked out, locked by the current user. This prevents another user from editing the alert unless it is checked in, unlocked, by closing the Alert Details page. Let's discuss each of these tabs in more detail. The Alert Details tab provides basic details about an alert. This can include information such as the scorecard for scenarios and general information about the alert, such as the alert ID, entity name, and status, as well as a miniature network diagram. The Alert Activity tab contains a drop-down list of alerting events that are associated with the alert. Selecting an alerting event displays the records that triggered the scenario to fire or scenario-fired events, for example, the suspicious transaction or claim. As you review the alert activity, it might be obvious that some scenario-fired events are relevant to the investigation, but others are not. This can be due to the details of the investigation or the severity of the infraction. In such cases, specific violations might need to be investigated more quickly. The Rate Productivity feature enables users to assign productivity ratings to individual scenario-fired events while keeping the alert open. You can assign a productivity rating to scenario-fired events to indicate whether the scenario-fired events is a true hit or a false positive, or that you need more information to decide. This enables you to concentrate on the scenario-fired events that are pertinent to the investigation. The default productivity ratings are productive, unproductive, and indeterminate. Unproductive means that the scenario-fired event does not represent suspicious activity, false positive. Productive means that the scenario-fired event revealed suspicious activity, true hit. Indeterminate means that more information or activity is needed to make a decision about whether the scenario-fired event is suspicious. The large number of scenario-fired events that appear on the Alert Activity tab can distract you from the scenario-fired events that are of interest or haven't already been addressed. SAS Visual Investigator enables you to suppress scenarios within the user interface through the Suppress Scenario feature. This feature temporarily removes scenario-fired events that are associated with a given scenario from the scenario-fired events table. Note that even though the scenario-fired events are not shown, their scores are still included in the alerting event score total at the top of the scorecard. You can choose to suppress a scenario until a specific date and time or for a given period of time. Once the time period has been reached or the date has passed, the scenario is automatically restored. You can also manually restore a suppressed scenario. When you suppress or restore a scenario, the action is added to the Alert History tab. The Scoring History tab displays scores for the alerting events that are associated with the alert. The Alert History tab displays an audit trail for the alert. This tab displays the actions that have been performed on the alert. The Workspace tab provides a dynamic area in which to save data that you're interested in. In a workspace, you can examine data in different views: Detail View, Map View, Timeline View, Network View, Table View. This demonstration illustrates how to view the details of an alert, suppress and restore scenarios, and partially disposition scenario-fired events from the Alerts page. We see that I'm still signed in as the INV1 user. First, let's find an alert for Howard Morgan using a column filter like we did for Patty Casey in the previous demonstration. We see that the assignment filter is still set to all active alerts. In the Actionable Entity Label column heading, I click the column options icon and select Filter. For the operator, I select Contains. In the second field, I enter my search term, Morgan. I click Filter to see the results. Because we are in a training system, there are only 2 results for Morgan. Had there been thousands of records of the term Morgan, I could instead have refined my search to use == as the operator and the full name Howard Morgan as the search term. When reviewing the alert toolbar earlier, I showed you how to use more options to select View or Edit when opening an alert. Another way to open an alert is to double-click the record. This automatically opens the Alert Details page in edit mode, locking it so that other users cannot work with the alert while I have it checked out. I want to open the alert for Howard Morgan, so I double-click the Howard Morgan alert record. Let's review the tabs of information available for an alert. When opened, the alert defaults to the Alert Details tab, which provides basic details about the alert. I click the Alert Activity tab to view a table of alerting events that are associated with the alert. Selecting an event displays the records that triggered the scenario to fire in the table below. I click the Scoring History tab to view scores for the alerting events that are associated with the alert. I click the Alert History tab to view all of the actions that have been performed on the alert. I click the Workspace tab to view the relationships between the alerted entity and other objects in the system. Now that we've reviewed the details for the Howard Morgan alert, let's suppress a scenario. Remember, suppressing a scenario temporarily hides the scenario to help me better focus on other events of interest, especially within a larger quantity of scenarios. First, I click the Alert Activity tab and claim the alert. On the Alert Activity tab's toolbar, I click Suppress a Scenario and select Cache Credits. I am required to specify a restoration date and time. A future date and time have been suggested, so I will leave that as is. For suppression comment, I enter does not represent suspicious activity at this time, and then click OK. Notice that the cache credit scenario is no longer listed, and the message Suppressed Scenarios is now displayed on the toolbar. Let's say I've worked through the other scenarios in the alert and want to work with the suppressed scenario. I had set the suppression for a future date and time, but I can take steps to manually restore it. On the Alert Activity tab's toolbar, I click More Options and select Restore Suppressed Scenarios. In the Suppressed Scenarios window, I select the Cache Credits scenario and then click the Restore the Scenario button. The scenario disappears from the list. There is nothing else to restore, so I click Close. Notice that the Cache Credits scenario has been restored and is again listed in the table. Next, let's look at rate productivity. When viewing the scenarios, I might notice that some scenario-fired events are not relevant to the investigation, or that I need additional information to make that determination. I can rate these events by performing a partial disposition. On the Alert Activity tab, I select the first scenario in the table. On the Alert Activities tab's toolbar, I click the Rate Productivity button. In reviewing the scenario, I concluded that I needed more information to determine whether these events are pertinent to the investigation. So for productivity rating, I select Indeterminate and then click OK. Remember, a rating of indeterminate means that more information or activity is needed to make a decision. Notice that the productivity rating value of indeterminate now shows on the single record in the table. I can change this rating at any time. I can also assign a productivity rating to all associated transactions when dispositioning, like we did previously when closing the Greg Hackett alert. I am done with my changes to the Howard Morgan alert, so I will close the alert object page. Lastly, in the alerts list, I want to clear the filter on the Actionable Entity Label column. To do this, I click Column Options, select Filter, and then click Clear. This demonstration illustrates how to add workspaces and insights to an alert, work with network diagrams, and create manual alerts. We see I'm still signed in as the INV1 user. Let's start with adding the alert for Howard Morgan to a workspace. This creates a work area where I can examine data in multiple ways. First, from the Alerts tab, I want to find the Howard Morgan alert in the Alerts list and open it. On the Alert toolbar, I click Add Object to Workspace. In the new window under Howard Morgan, I select New Workspace and then click OK. A new tab appears named Workspace-1. I can right-click the tab and select Rename Workspace. For new name, I enter Overview and click OK. On the Overview Workspaces toolbar, I click the Data View drop-down list and select Network View to view the workspace's network diagram. We see the alert node for Howard Morgan. The number count on the node indicates the number of objects that this alert is linked to that are not yet visible on the diagram. I double-click the Howard Morgan alert node to expand it, making the linked object visible. We see that the Howard Morgan alert is linked to Howard Morgan's account. I click Save to save my changes. Now that I am done adding a workspace to the Howard Morgan alert, let's add the network diagram that we just created to an insight on the same alert. Remember, insights are static representation of my investigation at any given time. On the Overview Workspaces toolbar, to the right of the Data View dropdown, click Add Network to Insights. In the new window under Howard Morgan, I select New Insights and click OK. A new tab named Insights-1 now appears on the alert. Because this information is specific to one moment in time, I can only see the network diagram, not work with it. I can perform other actions on the insight, like add images. Now that my insight has been added, I save the alert and close the Howard Morgan alert object page. Next, I will show you how to create a manual alert. Manual alerts can be used to report new suspicious activity or to start a reinvestigation into prior alerting activity. First, let's add a manual alert for new suspicious activity. Let's say the customer, Howard Morgan, went to his local branch of Orion Star Bank to make a deposit. When Mr. Morgan revealed that he had $13,000 to deposit in checks and cash, the bank teller made him aware of the $10,000 deposit threshold. For any deposit over $10,000, the bank must file a report stating that the customer deposited an amount equal to or exceeding $10,000. Mr. Morgan is not quite sure what the filing means, so he chooses to deposit only $9,500. A customer purposefully depositing below the threshold automatically gets their bank history reviewed. The bank teller notifies the appropriate authorities who request a manual alert be added. To add a manual alert, on the menu bar, I click the Search tab. Notice that the results of the previous search persist in the list until a new search is performed. On the search bar, I click the X to clear my previous search. In the search box, I enter Howard Morgan with quotation marks and press Enter. The quotation marks will return Morgan results with the first name Howard. To get started, I open the Howard Morgan account. On the toolbar, I click Create an Alert, and then I select Create New from the drop-down list. In the notes box, I enter Avoiding CTR, and then I click OK. On the toolbar, I click the Refresh button. Notice that the Howard Morgan alert has opened. Next, I click the Alert Activity tab. I scroll down to the bottom of the list to see that the manual alert is now listed as an alerting event for Howard Morgan. SAS Visual Investigator created an alerting event and treated it the same way as it would have an alert that was sent to SAS Visual Investigator from any other source. It's important to note that based on your role permissions, you might be able to create but not view a manual alert. Our manual alert is complete, so I can close the Howard Morgan account page and alert object page. Lastly, I will show you how to create a reinvestigate manual alert. When I generate a manual alert, the system creates a new alerting event with a unique ID. It copies the scenario fired events in the alert version that I selected, gives them new IDs, and adds them to the new alerting event. To start the reinvestigate manual alert, I clear the search box and enter John Beck, including quotation marks, and press Enter. I double-click the closed John Beck account to open it. On the toolbar, I click Create an Alert and select Reinvestigate from the drop-down list. In the new window, in the notes box, I enter Phone Tip from Bank on Suspicious Activity. In the alert version list, I select the checkbox next to the displayed alert version, and then I click OK. This opens a John Beck alert object that includes the cash credits alerting event from the previously closed alert version. I click the Alert Activity tab. In the top left corner of the tab, we can see that there is an alert labeled Alert 2. I click the alert version drop-down list to see the 2 alert versions are now listed. Let's review. The Reinvestigate option enables the creation of a manual alert that gets added to a previously closed alert, changing the alert's closed status back to active. The new alerting event displays the copied scenario fired events. The copied scenario fired events retain most of the values from the original scenario fired events, including their scores, descriptions, and message text. However, the productivity rating and comment fields are blank. This enables an analyst to assign new values based on their reinvestigation. My reinvestigation steps are complete, so I close all open object pages. This demonstration illustrates how to analyze the details of an alert, add supporting documentation, and apply dispositions to an alert. We see I'm still signed in as the INV1 user. Let's open the alert for Howard Morgan. On the menu bar, I click the Alerts tab. I scroll down and double-click the alert for Howard Morgan. First, let's upload an attachment to the alert. On the right side of the toolbar, I click Attachments to open the Attachments pane. I click Upload Attachment. I click the 3 horizontal dots to select files to upload. I navigate to the file name Attachment and click Open. Now I click Upload. My attachment appears in the table. I could delete the attachment or upload additional attachments if needed. Now I close the Attachments pane and add a comment. On the right side of the toolbar, I click the Comments button to open the Comments pane. I click in the Enter Comment field to open the Formatting pane. In the comment text box, I type Further investigation required, possible suspicious activity. Using the formatting options, I could format the text any way that I want. Leaving the formatting as is, I click Post. We can see that my comment has been added, so I close the Comments pane. At this point, I have added everything I need to the alert, so now I'm ready to add the alert to an investigation. To do this, I disposition the alert. The highlighted pencil icon indicates that I am in edit mode, so the Dispositions menu is available. I click the Dispositions menu and select Add to Investigation. In the new window, on the Demo Investigation Details tab, I enter Demo Case in the Investigation Name field. On the Workspaces tab, I select all checkboxes to add all workspaces to the investigation. On the Insights tab, I select the checkbox for the insight that I created in a previous demonstration to add it to the investigation. On the Activity tab, I am required to assign a productivity rating to the scenario, which doesn't have one yet. I could select a rating from the drop-down menu on the specific record requiring it. Instead, at the bottom, for Mark All, I click Productive. This updates all scenarios with the productive rating. The scenario that I previously rated with indeterminate has now been changed to productive. On the Additional Information tab, I choose the disposition reason from the drop-down list. I don't need more information about the alert, and I believe there's possible suspicious activity, so I select the other and then OK. The Demo Case Investigations related alert for Howard Morgan is displayed in the Investigations alert grid. A new tab has been created for the suspicious activity, and a copy of the alert's workspaces and insight have been added to the investigation. I can close all open object pages. The Tasks page contains all tasks that the sign-in user can participate in. The Tasks list record displays useful information like who the task has been claimed by, the object icon representing the object that the task is related to, the object label naming the object, the workflow task available to the signed-in user, the workflow name, and the date on which the task was claimed by the user. Investigations contain an entity, its alerts, and supporting documentation. These are pulled into one object so that the investigator can determine whether suspicious behavior exists. You can use the information on the investigation page to research the alerts, accounts, and parties related to the investigation. Supporting items on the investigation page, such as comments, attachments, and tasks, are accessed from toolbar buttons. Comments are used to make notes for yourself or to communicate with others. When you click the Comments button, the Comments pane appears, enabling you to view previous comments or add new comments. Use the formatting functionality to choose how your comment is displayed. Attachments enable you to add documents and images, like bank statements or canceled checks, as well as audio and video recordings, like security footage of the customer entering the bank building or a bank's phone recording of the customer's call. A search for specific content within the attached objects can be performed when the Extract Attachment Content for Indexing feature is enabled. The results of the search can be used in another object within the entity. Tasks are a part of a workflow and can be assigned to an individual user or a user group, and some tasks can be performed by the system. Investigations have a workflow. Workflows are used to create a sequence of tasks through which an entity passes during a business process. The investigation automatically moves to the next task when the current task is complete. This demonstration illustrates using tasks to advance the workflow of an investigation. We see I'm still signed in as the INV1 user. First, let's review the Tasks page toolbar. On the menu bar, I click the Tasks tab. We see that the toolbar contains action buttons and a tasks count. The Claim button is used to claim a task. In the task list, a user icon appears next to any tasks that I have claimed. The Release Claim button releases the task's current user's claim. The button is currently not available, and it is only available when I select a task that I already have a claim on. The Refresh button refreshes the tasks list. And last, on the right side above the grid, we see the tasks count. This is the number of tasks in my list which I can take part in and claim. To claim a task in the tasks list, I select the Elizabeth Barrett Cash Credits task. On the toolbar, I click Claim. Now let's complete a task. Remember, I am currently signed in as an investigator. I double-click the Elizabeth Barrett Cash Credits Investigator Review task to open it. In the Tasks pane, I click the Open Diagram icon to display the workflow's information window for review. The thick black box around the Investigator Review tasks indicates that this is the current stage of the workflow. I click Close to close the investigation workflow window. In the Tasks pane, I review the available task action buttons. I decide I have completed my investigation and am ready for my manager to review it. I click the Send to Manager button to send the investigation for manager review. I close the Tasks pane and then close the Investigation Object page. On the Tasks tab, we see that the task is no longer listed. I sign out of the investigator user by clicking the INV1 profile icon and selecting Sign Out. Next, I will complete a task as a manager. I sign in as MGR1 using Student1 as the password. On the menu bar, I click the Tasks tab. I want to claim the Elizabeth Barrett Cash Credits Manager Review task. I can claim a task from within the object's task pane instead of the tasks list. I double-click the Elizabeth Barrett Cash Credits Manager Review task to open it. The Tasks pane opens and we see that I have a Claim Action button available to me. I click the Claim button to claim the task. I can click the Open Diagram icon to open the Investigation Workflow window and see the current task is Manager Review. I click Close to close the Investigation Workflow window. I have reviewed the investigation and decided that more information is needed before I can close the investigation. I click the Return to Investigator button to return the investigation back to the investigator for rework. I click the Open Diagram icon again. In the Investigation Workflow window, we see that the task has been sent back for investigator review. I click Close to close the Investigation Workflow window. After the investigator reworks an investigation as directed, the investigator again sends the investigation back for manager review. Then, if satisfied with the rework, the manager can close the task as complete. I close the task pane and sign out of the MGR1 user. This demonstration illustrates how to use a workspace to research the details of an investigation and then complete the investigation. I am signed in as the INV1 user. Let's review the demo case investigation. On the menu bar, I click the Tasks tab. I double-click Demo Case to open it. I close the Tasks pane. I click each tab, Details, Suspicious Activity, and Workspace to review the investigation details. Next, let's make changes to the workspace's network diagram. On the Investigation toolbar, I click Edit. I am on the Workspace tab. I can change the size of the selected object by clicking the Zoom In, Zoom Out, and Zoom to Fit icons on the left side of the workspace. Next, I select the Howard Morgan account node and review the information in the Tools pane on the right. I want to change the look of my network diagram, so I click the Tools drop-down list and select Node Properties. To change the node color, I click in the Node Color box and select Orange, and then click OK. To change the size, I click the Scale drop-down arrow and select 4x. I click Update View to apply my selected changes. We can see that the Howard Morgan account node is now orange and it is 4 times larger than the other nodes. Many nodes appear on my network diagram. Changing the size and color is one way to help me focus on certain objects. I can also remove some nodes from view so that I can concentrate on the items that I am analyzing. To do this, on the Workspace toolbar, I click the Select button and select Object Type, and then TXN to select all transaction nodes. On the Workspace toolbar, I click the Object button and select Remove the object from the workspace. We see that this removed all transaction items, making my workspace less cluttered. If I don't like my changes, or make changes by mistake, I can undo or reset the diagram. On the Workspace toolbar, I click the Undo icon to undo the action. I click the Redo icon to redo the action. And to reset the network diagram to the last saved state, I click Reset to Last Saved Network, and then click Reset. I'm done making changes, so I click the Save icon on the Investigation toolbar to save the workspace. For my network diagram, I can drill down on linked objects to see additional data. I right-click the David A. Morgan node and select Open. The customer detail page shows information including name, date of birth, address, email, and the date on which the person became a customer of the bank. I'm done reviewing, so I close the customer page for David A. Morgan. This returns me to the Demo Case Investigation object page. As an investigator, I have reviewed, worked on, and analyzed this investigation. I have exhausted all efforts and feel that the investigation is ready to be sent for manager review. On the right side of the toolbar, I click Tasks to open the task pane. I click the Claim button, and then I click the Send to Manager button. The investigation advances to the next task, Manager Review. I close the Tasks pane. I save my Demo Investigation object. I close the Investigation object page and sign out of the INV1 user. I sign in as a manager using MGR1 as the user ID and Student1 as the password. On the menu bar, I click the Tasks tab and double-click the Demo Case task to open it. In the Tasks pane, I click Claim. We can see that there is a History tab, so I click it to review the previous object version and action history. I have reviewed all of the information. I'm satisfied with the investigation and have determined that no further investigation is needed. I click the Tasks tab. I click the Close button to complete the Manager Review task. As the final task of the investigation's workflow, completing the task also closes the investigation as complete. I close the Tasks pane. Should I want to share this investigation with coworkers, I could send them an object link for convenience. To share an object link, I click the Share button. This displays the link address for the investigation. For other people to view the object, they must have the appropriate access permissions. I don't need to share, so I click Close to close the window without sharing, and then I close the investigation object page. SAS Visual Investigator enables users to perform searches to discover information in support of their investigation efforts. Users can perform global searches, advanced searches, phonetic searches, and synonym searches. A global search enables you to search for any object within the data repository. Let's look at some examples that you might use when performing a global search. The search terms Jack and Jill in quotation marks return all index data containing the phrase Jack and Jill in that order. The search terms Jack and Jill returned all index data containing the words Jack and Jill. It is important to note that the operator must be in all capital letters. The search terms Jack Jill return all index data containing the word Jack or Jill, or data that contains both Jack and Jill. The search terms Jack not Jill return all index data containing the word Jack that does not also contain the word Jill. You can also search for your terms within a specified proximity. The search terms Jack, Jill in quotation marks, followed by a tilde and the number 3, return all index data containing the words Jack and Jill within 3 words of each other in any order. The asterisk is a multiple character wildcard, including 0 characters. The search term T**ILL returns all index data containing the words till, thrill, trill, treadmill, and so on. Note, you cannot start a search using a leading wildcard, for example, *ILL. However, searching for asterisks with no additional search terms returns all index data. The question mark is a single character wildcard. The search term $ILL returns all index data containing the words Jill, Hill, Will, and so on. It does not return data containing ill or thrill. The tilde enables you to perform a fuzzy search. A fuzzy search finds objects that contain terms close to your search terms without matching exactly. For example, when words stored in the data repository are misspelled or mistyped. The example here, THE tilde returned all indexed data containing the common misspelling TEH. Lastly, the search terms first_name: Jack returns all indexed data containing the word Jack in the field first_name. An advanced search enables you to create complex searches without knowledge of how to construct a query. This functionality enables you to narrow your search parameters to achieve results that are more targeted. A phonetic search enables you to find terms that sound similar to your search term but might be spelled differently. Lastly, a synonym search enables you to find terms with a similar meaning to your search terms based on a predefined list of synonyms imported by your administrator. There's also a search specific to an area that is available only when in map view. Draw a shape on the map to mark an area, and then enter your search terms in the search box to search only in the selected area. For results to appear on the map, there must be latitude and longitude values associated with the object. This demonstration illustrates how to perform different types of searches using the search bar. We can see I'm still signed in as the MGR1 user. Let's first perform a global search for all objects in the system. On the menu bar, I click the Home tab. In the search field, I type an asterisk and then click the magnifying glass. We see that the search results appear on the search page and that the default view is the detail view. In the filter pane, I click the arrow next to TXN to review the available filter facets for transactions. I clear the search so that I can perform a new search. Next, I perform a standard search for the name Hopper. On the search tab in the search field, I type Hopper and press enter. We see 5 results displayed for customers whose name includes the name Hopper. Now let's say I need to search for a customer with the name Hopper, Hoppor. In the search field, I type Hopper and press enter. No results are returned. I'm not quite sure if the name is spelled correctly, so I can use the phonetic search to view additional results that sound like Hopper. With the name Hopper still in the search field, on the search bar, I click the search options down arrow and select phonetic search. Notice that the phonetic search returns results that include both Hopper, Hopper, and Hooper. I could look through each of these results to determine whether any match what I need, or I could try a new search. I click the clear button to clear the search. Now I will demonstrate how to perform an advanced search for employees. Next to the search bar, click the search options drop-down arrow and select advanced search. I want to search for all customers in the system who are individual employees. I select customer as the object type. Notice that the query box at the bottom of the advanced search window updates automatically with each field selection. If you prefer to type code or want to copy and paste code, you can click Switch to Text Editor to open the text editor window instead. To continue my selections, I select Employee IND as the category. I keep Contains Any as the operator, and I enter the letter Y in the text field. I click Search to view the results. Next, let's create a search within a specified geographical area. In the search field, I enter Birmingham and press Enter. I click the Detail View drop-down list and select Map View to view the results on a map. I zoom into Alabama. I click the Search inside a rectangle icon. Next, I click on the map and drag my mouse to create a rectangle over a portion of the state of Alabama, focusing on the Birmingham area where the multiple map pins are showing. In the search box, I change Birmingham to Kevin and press Enter. The map updates, showing only the area I previously selected. I hover over the pin to see the customer Kevin with a Birmingham, Alabama location. For the last search, I want to see where the search term Charles appears in the Charles Noto Cache Credits investigation object using Find Text. In the search field, I type an asterisk and press Enter. I click the Data View drop-down list and select Detail View. In the filter pane, I select the checkbox for Demo Investigation to narrow the results. I double-click the Charles Noto Cache Credits investigation to open it. In the Find Text pane, I click the Clear button to clear the search. In the search box, I type Charles and press Enter. In the results, I see highlighted text and the listed location where the text appears. When I click on a result, I am taken to the location within the object where the highlighted text appears. I can now close the investigation object page. Management reporting enables managers to view a detailed breakdown of the pool of work available and how it is distributed by analysts as well as by strategies and queues. This enables managers to see how alerts are being dispositioned, see the assignment workload by group and user for assigned alerts, and see the closure rate of tasks and outstanding work. Assignment reports provide access to a summary level report and to individual user level reports. You can view these reports to assess the analyst workload. The assignment reports enable you to see, by group and by user, the number of active and suppressed alerts in a domain, strategy, or queue, and how many of the alerts have been assigned. Disposition reports display disposition activity for groups and users for a specified time range. By default, the report shows the past 7 days, but you can modify this time range. You can view the alert disposition history report per user to see details about the dispositions that the user has applied. This report also enables you to analyze the effectiveness of strategies. Task reports provide a way for you to analyze the effectiveness of the workflow tasks based on how much time a user spends on a given task. In addition, you can compare different versions of a workflow to identify where efficiency gains can be made. Audit reports enable you to view a list of actions performed by users within SAS Visual Investigator. By creating queries, you can target specific users, tasks, or date ranges. You can then export audit results to Microsoft Excel. This demonstration illustrates accessing management reports. Keep in mind that this practice environment has a more limited amount of report data than your organization's installation of SAS Visual Investigator. We can see I'm still signed in as the MGR1 user. On the menu bar, I click the Management tab. First, I review the assignment reports. On the toolbar, I click Assignment Reports. In the left pane, I click Domestic Alert Strategy. We see that the upper grid displays the number of all user counts of active and suppressed alerts, as well as how many of the alerts have been assigned. The lower grid displays individual user counts of active and suppressed alerts. Next, I review the disposition reports. On the toolbar, I click Disposition Reports. This displays the disposition activity for groups and users for a specified time range. We see that we could change the date range to view different dates. Selecting a group in the upper grid displays its users in the lower grid. We could select a strategy or queue in the list to filter the grid. Next, I review the task reports. On the toolbar, I click Task Reports. This displays how much time a user spends on a given task for each workflow. We can see that we can change the date range to view different dates. We can view the amount of time it has taken for tasks to be completed. Lastly, I review the audit reports. On the toolbar, I click Audit Reports. I click the Select a Value menu and select User ID. I leave the operator as the equal sign. In the Specify a Value field, I enter INV1. I click Search. We can view the audit report results for the INV1 user. I sign out and close the Browser tab for Demo VIA. This final lesson of the course is a case study to give you the opportunity to practice decision-making and problem-solving in SAS Visual Investigator. For the case study, you move from the insurance scenario that you used previously for practice to a banking scenario as demonstrated for you throughout the course. You will be working for a fictitious financial institution, Orion Star Bank. The bank data for the case study consists of international customers with bank accounts that have transactions. You will sign in to the Demo VIA tenant as an investigator, INV2, and a manager, MGR2. Here's the case study scenario. A customer of Orion Star Bank, Charles Pryor, entered his local branch to deposit $12,000. When the bank teller made him aware of the $10,000 deposit threshold, Charles opted to deposit only $9,000. Changing a deposit amount to avoid the $10,000 threshold is a red flag and must be reported. To determine whether the transaction is considered suspicious activity on Charles Pryor's account, as the lead investigator, you manually create a new alert using the information provided from the branch. To support your review, you add the alert to a new investigation, including the alert's workspace, which is used to assist in your analysis. Once your investigation efforts have been exhausted, you conclude that there is evidence that suggests Charles Pryor is engaging in illegal activity. You send your findings for manager review. As the manager, you review the case. You decide that the investigator's discoveries are accurate and complete. You agree that there is sufficient evidence of fraudulent activity, so you close the investigation and make plans to exit the customer. This demonstration shows SAS Mobile Investigator from a user perspective. It includes performing a search and adding an image to an object. Please note that the demonstration that you're about to watch is performed on a mobile device using SAS Mobile Investigator, which requires a separate license. You are not able to perform this demo in the practice environment. I begin by signing in to the SAS Visual Investigator mobile application. I enter INV1 for the user ID. I enter student1 for the password. For the server name, I have entered the Linux server name preceded by the name of the tenant. I leave the port blank and then ensure that the checkbox next to Secure Connection is cleared. I tap Sign In. The home page is displayed by default. Let's review the mobile application. I tap the circle profile icon on the top right of the page to view the menu. The menu includes the options Home, Offline Drafts, and Reload. When I tap the bell icon on the toolbar, it displays the Tasks page. There are no workload tasks available to this user currently. Next, let's perform a search. I return to the home page by the menu selection or the back arrow. Then I tap the Search All button and review the results. I tap the 3 vertical dots and then tap Filter Results. I select the checkbox for Demo Investigation and then tap Apply to narrow the results. Now let's add an image to the object in the results. In the results, I select the Demo Investigation named New Investigation and tap the Edit icon. I scroll to the bottom of the page and click the plus sign next to the Evidence 1 image control. From the menu, I select Take Photo. I take a photo and enter text for the image description. I tap Upload. I see that the photo is uploaded, so I tap Save to save the investigation object. In the pop-up window that indicates that the object has been updated, I tap OK. I return to the home page and close the SAS Mobile Investigator app.